Welcome back to Southpaw Picks, and you're here with your host Charles, and this is UFC Fight Night, Kattar versus Emmett. We got 14 fights on the slate, a whole bunch of notable names, a whole bunch of fun fights, a whole bunch of interesting spots that we can make a decent amount of money, and I even like a couple dogs on this card. But before we get into the breakdown, we got to do a recap of last week, and unfortunately, our 8-event win streak comes to an end, and it also being the most units I've lost this year. I believe we go down minus 3.25 units. I didn't really go too heavy on with the parlays, but I laid down 2 units on Natália Santos. I was comfortable with her. I felt that this was the one that would be able to do it. I do feel like she won that fight, but obviously when you have money on her, it's a bit of a biased take. You know, definitely one of those ones that could go either way, and you got a plus 450 tag on the dog. You just got to learn to roll with those ones. So I didn't really get too crazy on that card. I really just like Natália Santos and the parlay I gave out to you guys, and that's it. And it didn't pay off. So also we go 4-7 on predictions. Not our best week of the year, but you know, I haven't had 2 back-to-back losing weeks all year, and I'm not gonna start that this week. So let's get into the breakdowns, guys, and we're gonna kick it off with the main event here. We got Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett. Now, obviously, I like to do these shows after the weigh-ins, and of course, you do a lot of research throughout the week. You run tape, you hear opinions, and I keep landing to this weird feeling in the back of my mind that Josh Emmett could get it done. You see, the things I like about, and I'll start with here, things I like about the dog here. Obviously, you know, Josh Emmett has 11 knockdowns in the featherweight division. He's knocked down his last 7 opponents. Big power. You know, they say he has wrestling credentials, although he doesn't really go to it too often. He is a guy that you do see in certain moments slow down, but he's also a guy that doesn't really throw too much output. He's really out there managing his energy levels and not really getting too much into a firefight. The last time we seen him in a firefight was against Shane Burgos, and I thought he did pretty well. You know, and I was on Shane Burgos in that spot, and I was impressed on just how well Josh Emmett fought. Now, with that being said, the knockout power and the physical specimen that is Josh Emmett, seeing him face off today against Calvin Kattar, you really just see the imposing physical structure of a guy like Josh Emmett. And you know, in the back of your mind, it makes you wonder, will he go to the wrestling, right? Will he implement it just to give Calvin Kattar something to think about, who's primarily a boxer, right? Primarily boxing. He'll throw a couple front kicks here and there, but he just has crisp, clean striking, probably some of the better striking in this division. Now, I think Calvin Kattar just has the 5-round experience here. I do believe he has the cleaner hands. I do believe he'll be able to maintain the range. But I'm also not going to weigh out the possibility of Josh Emmett landing a bomb, because it's very possible Calvin Kattar does get hit. And he's shown to have a good chin, but how many guys have shown to have a good chin against Josh Emmett? But I do like Calvin Kattar here to win a decision, outpointing Josh Emmett. Maybe he does get knocked down, but ultimately wins this fight. Now, Calvin Kattar is going to be someone on the back end of a lot of our parlays, because when it comes down to the end, having a plus 200 dog and a capable fighter in Josh Emmett is hard to pass by. So most of my parlays will end with Calvin Kattar just at the bottom. So at the end of the night, depending on how it looks, a possible hedge option will be available, and I suggest you guys do that too. So for the main event, I'm gonna go with Calvin Kattar, and I'm seeing a late 4th, 5th round stoppage or unanimous decision. So give me Calvin Kattar, the Boston finisher. Moving on down to the co-main event of the evening, we got Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. You know, a fight that I really didn't want to get involved in. As you can see, you know, these guys combined in their last 10 fights combined have lost 8 of their last 10. You know, on this show, I like to say all the time, you know, we bet good fighters. We don't, you know, you want to take a dog shot, that's fine. But when we're putting our real money on, we bet on good fighters. We don't bet on hunches. We don't bet on rumors. And we don't also design game plans in our brain and hope these guys can execute it. Now, I'm well aware that Donald Cerrone has been shooting a film, and he's been trying to do a little training in Thailand. I'm well aware that he wasn't feeling well in his last weight cut, and now there's another weight cut down to 155 that he has to do. But that's all narrative, right? If the Cowboy is able to turn back the clock for one day, he is the better fighter here. Will he? Will he? Last time this fight was announced, I was on Cowboy, and prediction-wise, I think he would win this fight. But, you know, just kind of seeing a bit of his mental space, and really, these are all reasons outside of fighting, right? You know Joe Lauzon starts fast, and you know that's a weakness of Donald Cerrone. He's not someone that starts fast. But, I mean, when you watch Joe Lauzon, I mean, the striking is not that good. I mean, he may throw hard, but these jabs, you know, they're very lazy jabs. I mean, if Donald Cerrone just wants to wake up and just be himself for about 5-10 minutes, I think he could put a hurting on Joe Lauzon here. Just what stage is he in his career, right? He hasn't won in, I think like 2018, Donald Cerrone hasn't won a fight, right? And 2019. So I think he's at the end of his career. I do believe his heart's not in it anymore. And because to me, I feel like this fight means a lot more to Joe Lauzon than it means to Cowboy, especially coming off a win, riding a bit of momentum. I'm going to switch my pick that I had earlier a couple weeks ago when I first studied this fight. And I'm going to go with Joe Lauzon. And I think the only play you can make here is Joe Lauzon by finish. And if he doesn't get it done, maybe think about working on a live play on Donald Cerrone. But give me Joe Lauzon by knockout within the first 2 rounds. I don't know if he gets him out in the first, but within the first 2 rounds. I think the under 2.5 is a great spot there. So Joe Lauzon by TKO. Moving on down here, we got a fun fight. Tim Dirty Bird Means versus Kevin Holland. Now, huge fan of both these guys. Love watching them fight. Love betting on both these guys. You know, they both offer unique ability and just good taping, right? You know, sometimes you tape some fights and some guys' styles isn't really the best style to keep you interested. But these guys manage to maintain that ability to just keep you engaged. Now, Tim Means is coming off a 3-fight win streak against the likes of, and winning 4 out of his last 5, against the likes of Lorano Staropoli, Mike Perry, and Nicholas Dalby. Guys that you don't really rate highly. That Daniel Rodrigues fight was very interesting until he got finished. And on the other hand here, we got, you know, Kevin Holland fighting against a pretty decent level of competition. Now, Kevin Holland's a guy I struggle with too. Someone I usually don't bet on just based on his antics. I'm just not sure exactly the type of guy he is mentality-wise. But he's always fighting with these overinflated betting lines. He's, you know, charismatic. He's a guy that you want to see win. And Dirty Bird today, on the scale, it really didn't look to be in the best shape that I'm used to seeing him in. So I'm a little worried that if this fight extends deep, seeing the condition Kevin Holland has come in, that he's just going to outlast him and just show that he's the younger, sprier fighter. He's got a 6-inch reach advantage. I do think Tim Means has better striking when it comes to just the combinations and the fundamentals. You know, he has decent cage wrestling that he showed over his last 3 fights. But I do believe Kevin Holland, is going to be the bigger guy at this 170 spot, knowing that Tim Means fought at 155 at one point. Not only is he the bigger man, he's got the 6-inch reach advantage, the speed advantage, and definitely the power on the feet. Now, I just feel like Kevin Holland really just needs to land one of those nice straight crosses that he throws just off the right hand. Just land a nice cross, probably hit Tim Means just dead center in the face, nose, chin, and I feel like he's going to rock Tim Means. What he does with that is up to him. I don't know if I should take Kevin Holland here by decision, you know, submission, or KO. I think it's very difficult to chase props in this specific category. But I'm going to go with Kevin Holland, and I'm going to say he wins by decision. I'm going to say Tim Means hangs around here a little bit and gives Kevin Holland a tougher fight than he expected. But I think he will ultimately pull it out in the end, landing the bigger shots throughout the fight, the cleaner shots throughout the fight, fighting off takedowns, and getting the job done. But I can't see Tim Means winning 1 round here. You did see Alex Cowboy Oliveira, former lightweight as well, go in there, take down Kevin Holland, and win the first round. So give me Kevin Holland by unanimous decision. Moving on down, we got Joaquin Buckley versus Albert Duraev. And both guys, I like watching them fight, right? Joaquin Buckley is that heavy puncher, good cardio, and heart. He's got a lot of heart. And I think he's married to the game. I do believe Buckley is someone who's married to the game. He is a bit undersized at this middleweight division, but I do believe that helps him with his gas. And I do believe that helps him with his speed in this matchup. Now, Duraev, he let me down, man. Even though we got away with the victory against Roman Kopylov, I was very disappointed in the performance, right? As a minus 300 favorite, it was very uncomfortable. As someone who had a bit riding on him, I was rather uncomfortable with his fighting style. Him not going for the takedowns, him deciding to stand at range and strike with the the Russian Roman Kopylov, who at first you thought it would be a run over, but Roman Kopylov is 31 years old. He hadn't fought in what? Let me go back and look. He hadn't fought in 2 years, so he made improvements. And I don't know if I should really hold down Duraev and say to him, like, you're not the guy, or just give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was his UFC debut. He was going up with a guy that I'm pretty sure he didn't intend to fight, right? That was short notice. He was supposed to fight Anthony Hernandez. No. He was supposed to fight, Alessio Di Chirico. So you're switching opponents. You're getting a totally different matchup here. And these type of things cause a bit of issues in fighters, right? This is something I'm going to bring up to the next fight coming up. When you've been training and game planning for some guy and then you get the switch and you want to be a tough guy because you're peaking and you're ready, but then you have a whole different matchup. You have a whole different style matchup that you have to go through. And Albert Duraev, to me, even though he got through it, it was worrisome. He has 3 losses here, and they're by first-round KO. And although 10 years ago, Buckley is the type of guy that can make you, relive that type of experience. But I'm going to side with Albert Duraev in this matchup. I'm going to say that he's clean enough to give Buckley a lot to think about as far as the hands and the ground game. I'm worried that he might be underestimating the strength of Buckley, and I'm worried he might also be, overlooking him as an opponent, and he shouldn't, because Buckley has massive power and massive speed. I do believe Duraev can get Buckley down, maintain top control, maintain wrist control, and maybe trying to wrap up the back and get a submission. Buckley is going to make him work for it this entire fight. It's going to be a sweat, and as much as I did like the way Duraev looked coming off the contender series, and I did appreciate him, even though a tough fight, digging deep and beating Roman Kopylov, this to me is something I cannot bet on, but I'm going to side with Albert Duraev because he's the natural middleweight. He's bigger. I feel like he can impose his will against Joaquin Buckley. He's just got to avoid that knockout power. And the way judges are, scoring cards these days, this could be one of those moments where Duraev gets a bunch of top control, maybe Buckley sleeps out the back door and lands a heavy shot and wins the round. But you know what? Albert Duraev, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's less of a wet blanket like some other fighters and really goes out there to apply a lot of pressure, a lot of short shots, and try to lock up a sub. So give me Albert Duraev by second round rear naked choke. Moving on down here to my favorite, most anticipated fight of the card here. We got Damir Ismagulov versus Guram Kutateladze. And I'll start with the Guram side. I blindly bet this guy against Mateusz Gamrot based on an interview I watched where Khamzat Chimaev said his teammate is going to kill this guy. And at that crazy number, I said to myself, why not? Lo and behold, he had a decent performance, and he was able to squeak out a split decision as close as the fight was. Now, like I said earlier, when you are expecting to fight somebody, and then all of a sudden an opponent switch comes up, plus your UFC debut, you're liable to not look, close to your best form, right? And Mateusz Gamrot since then has gone on to really showcase his abilities and show just how good of a fighter he is. But you have a guy in Guram who's out here throwing high kicks and decent, competent grappling skills, heavy power, drops you in the first round. You don't know what he's throwing. You don't know what's coming in. You don't know what your opponent is capable of. And I think with that being said, I think Gamrot was just being a little too hesitant. He was being a little too passive and allowing Guram to steal moments here. Now, Damir Ismagulov is a totally different story. To me, he's probably one of the most complete fighters in the lightweight division. Fantastic jab, great boxing, great wrist management, wonderful takedown ability. And not only that, seeing him get hurt by Rafael Alves early in the fight and able to regain composure and come back out and really put a beating on Alves late in that fight, it's impressive to me. Coming off 2 years, a 2-year layoff, going up against just a berserker and Rafael Alves, a guy I hold in high regard. you got to give this guy his credit. He's constantly a heavy favorite, and we're here getting him at -170. And I think a lot of that is based off the hype on Gamrot and the win by Guram here. I like Damir Ismagulov, and I like him like unanimous decision. And I feel like this is going to be a clean fight. I feel like this line is a steal, and this is a spot I am definitely targeting on this card. I love it. You can't go wrong with Damir Ismagulov, and I say he wins by unanimous decision. Moving on down, we got a middleweight bout between Julian, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Marquez versus Gregory, Robocop, Rodrigues. Now, I had to throw their nicknames in there because these guys are both absolutely fantastic, fun fighters. You know, skill level, I think, is pretty competent between the two. But when we really base off opponent level and the past couple performances, I gotta say Gregory Rodrigues, to me, just has the more relevant wins in the middleweight division. Jun Young Park win. This close fight with Arman Petrosian, which to me, I believe he won. But hey, I had Arman in that, so I'm not complaining. Took a bet on the underdog there. Thought I lost, but he got it done. Josh Frem, a guy that we know has decent skills. And Dusko Todorovic, not knocking him out was a little worrisome. And considering that people are able to just run through that guy at this level. But Dusko showed that Maki Pitolo's ground game is non-existent, okay? Maki Pitolo, you know, someone who is definitely a welterweight fighting at middleweight, really went out there and showed a grappling showcase against Julian Marquez. And then you throw Marquez in there against a guy in Sam Alvey who just, you know, hasn't been looking that great and also had to cut down to middleweight in the first time in a while. And that fight, to me, you know, it had its moments where it was a bit interesting. To me, these guys are on a similar level. I understand why some people take the dog shot here, but I'm actually going to ride with my boy Gregory Rodrigues. I like the power in his hands. I like his straight shots. And to me, I feel like he is just constantly improving. He's constantly working. He's got those grappling credentials. You know, he's a little stiff. His head's a bit on the center line. But Marquez with a 4-inch reach disadvantage. And also, too, just not too high on the striking ability of Julian Marquez. I just don't see how he wins a fight here without making it just super, super gritty and close enough for the judges to swing it the other way. But I'm going to say, even on short notice, that Gregory can be out here and fight a hard 10 minutes, win 2 rounds in this matchup, and just not avoid getting finished by Julian Marquez. So give me Gregory Rodrigues by unanimous decision. Moving on down the card here, we got a fun fight here. Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelley. Now, I got to tell you guys, Adrian Yanez, amazing boxer, terrific striker. Somebody that I've never really took the opportunity to bet on. Except, I actually bet against him against that Victor Rodriguez guy. But other than that, I have not bet on him in any of these spots. To me, he's a bit underwhelming. I don't quite see it. These finishes are good, but I just don't quite see the talent that everybody's professing. Now, Tony Kelley, to me, at this plus 230 number, a guy that I know is going to go out there well-rounded, crazy pressure, a dog, tough, gritty dude. I feel like may even have the physical strength advantage over Adrian Yanez. Him coming in here and missing weight, 2 pounds, him coming in here and his back against the wall for all the credits. You know, the critiques about him, you know, being racist and him saying those xenophobic things. As much as you don't like him, the guy can fight, man. They have a common opponent in Randy Costa, and without doing MMA math, you could just kind of see functionally just what was going on there. Randy Costa had a pretty competitive fight, won the first round against Adrian Yanez, and Randy Costa going up against Tony Kelley was just blown away from the bell ring. The pressure was phenomenal. The aggression was phenomenal. You know, he was so up in Randy Costa, he was unable to use his beautiful, beautiful long-range striking that he used against Yanez. Now, the one thing I'm worried about is Tony Kelley coming in and Yanez cracking him, right? It's very likely. Yanez throws great counters. He's got great, tight striking. But if there's a weakness from Adrian Yanez, it's in the grappling department. If there's a weakness from Adrian Yanez, he can be beat if you pressure him. If there's a weakness from Adrian Yanez, it might be him fighting in his hometown, being emotional, really wanting this W, and underestimating the guy that is Tony Kelley. I'm picking Adrian Yanez to pull it out, guys. He's a -300 favorite. It's his hometown. If the fight's close, I think it could swing that way. And I also could see an instance where Tony Kelley comes in too fast and gets cracked and gets knocked out for the first time. But even though I'm picking Adrian Yanez to win this fight, I will be taking a dog shot on Tony Kelley. Plus 230 is too valuable for a guy that is going to go out there and fight for your money. So official pick, Yanez. But understand, if you see me with a ticket on Tony Kelley this week, do not be shocked. Moving on down, we got another exciting bout for me. The face-offs today were pretty heated. I like Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's a very tough girl, and she's going up here against Natália Silva, which is one of those Brazilian girls that we haven't seen fight in a while. A very sketchy record. We just don't really know how good she is. But I did like how fiery she was when Jasmine tried to walk up on her. I did like, how she stood her ground. She's not afraid of Jasmine. Now, when you get in the ring with Jasmine, it might be a totally different story. She's gunning for a finish. She's a tough girl, that Jasmine, man. Skills I feel like are getting better. But the one thing that I like about her is she's a dog in a dog fight. Natália Silva is a wild card. We really don't know where she's at. The film you've seen is a couple years ago. Her body looks like it's, physically way better than it was a couple years ago. Where is her skill at? Maybe Jasmine is the type that maybe, coming off a 2-year layoff is not the great one to go up against. But there is interesting advantages here that she could take a part of. For instance, Jasmine likes to go to the ground. And I think Jasmine has to go to the ground because I do believe if she just stands at range and strikes with Natália Silva will land nasty body kicks and throw in combination and kind of outstrike her in the round just by a little margin. Now, the worrisome thing here is Jasmine likes to take fights at the ground. She likes to throw long range ground and pound, but she knows how to maintain top position. Now you got to wonder if Natália Silva is the type that's going to play on bottom and try and continuously go for arm bars and let Jasmine rack control time. Or will Jasmine make one mistake and we underestimate the jiu-jitsu of Natália Silva and she gets the armbar? Interesting fight to bet. I understand if you want to take the shot on the underdog. I understand if you see the line at -250 and think it's too much. But I like the girl out of St. Catharines. I like Jasmine Jasudavicius. And I'm going to pick her to win by unanimous decision. But a fight I don't want to get involved in because I just don't know how good this version of Natália Silva is. So I would say it's a stay away. But official pick, Jasmine Jasudavicius by unanimous decision. Moving on down the card here, we got an exciting welterweight bout. Jeremiah Wells versus Court McGee. Hey, Court McGee took some money from me when I took Ramiz Brahimaj against him. What a bad idea that was. Really went and dogged him out in that fight. And then a guy in Jeremiah Wells who I haven't really been riding his train, but been very impressed with what he's done recently. Also, too, seeing him in the face-offs, I really thought Court McGee was going to be a bit bigger than Jeremiah Wells. I thought you'd have a little bit more of a size advantage. Now I gotta say, I flip-flop on this pick. I like Court McGee in the beginning. I like Jeremiah Wells after. But I keep coming back to the fact of what we see when we see Jeremiah Wells. He is a scary finisher, explosive, big power. I don't think Court McGee has fought anybody relatively similar to power, like Carlos Condit, Claudio Silva, Ramiz Brahimaj. These guys are not hurting you on the feet, which what I expect Jeremiah Wells to do. I think Jeremiah Wells is going to pull out a close decision, split decision, maybe win the first round, have a big moment in the second round where someone may give him 2 rounds, and then Court McGee come out strong, and just hope Jeremiah Wells can hang. I like Jeremiah Wells here, and I like him by split decision. So if you are on a book that has that prop, I think looking at split decision, I think looking at draw is a very interesting perspective for a guy that Jeremiah will start so hot and might be able to implement a whole bunch of damage against a guy in Court McGee who's very durable and will be there to the end. But give me that showstopper in Jeremiah Wells, and I'm going to say that he puts Court McGee out. Second round KO. But if he can't get the finish, look for the split decision prop. Moving on down. One of the dogs I like on this card, boys. Danny Chavez versus Ricardo Ramos. Listen, Danny Chavez is kind of getting written off, going up against 2 back-to-back grapplers. Fighting, real physically strong featherweights. And then going up against a guy here, Ricardo Ramos, who has really showed an ability to be vulnerable in certain spots. As much as he has a bit of talent, 26 years old, 15-4, he's also showed moments of vulnerability. Now, seeing these guys face to face, wow. The physical advantages Danny Chavez has here, he looks like he has a lot more power going for him. He's got wonderful hand speed. He's got great takedown defense. He throws calf kicks. I think he has the exact archetype you need to beat a guy like Ricardo Ramos. Now, Ricardo Ramos is constantly getting better. He's 26. He may go out there and steamroll him. He is the minus 300 favorite here. But in a card where there's not too many dogs that I like the shot here on Danny Chavez. And I think he can get Ricardo out of here in the second round. Go out there and abuse the calves. Get him switching stances, get him uncomfortable to a stance he's not with, and every time he throws, you uncork a nasty right hand to him, throw a combination to his body. I feel like Danny Chavez can get Ricardo Ramos out of there. He's not that springy. He doesn't dance around the octagon. He's a Muay Thai fighter, so he stands pat to get hit. And yes, I could see him throw a straight down the pipe and maybe drop Ramos and maybe jump on his back and get a submission. But that's if we're expecting Ricardo Ramos to get him out of here. And if I'm looking at Ricardo Ramos, Journey Newsom decision. Eduardo Gregory, rear naked choke, but not a very, talented fighter. Then he gets knocked out. Another decision, and then another decision. He's not finishing fights. Give me Danny Chavez. Give me the Colombian Warrior for the upset here. He's 35 years old. It's do or die. It's do or die for this guy. And at plus 230, kind of like Tony Kelley. You want dogs that are going to go to war for your money. And I believe those two guys are dogs that are going to go out there and lay it all out. So I'm going to go with those two guys. Danny Chavez by second round KO. Moving on down here, we got Gloria de Paula versus Maria Oliveira. Man, Maria Oliveira looked like she's just coming out here to try and get some Instagram follows before she gets kicked out the UFC. Not very impressed with her skill set. Physically, she does not look like she's hitting the gym and hitting the weights. And also, as far as striking goes, she does what she's supposed to do out there, but she does not like the return fire. And you got a girl in Gloria de Paula who's, actually a bigger girl that's kind of really cutting down to this strawweight division. She's got decent striking. She's got the physical advantages here. And I like the camp she trains out of at Shuto Box. So I think we shouldn't overthink this at all. I don't think Maria Oliveira is that good. And I think Gloria de Paula is a far better fighter than her. So give me Gloria de Paula by unanimous decision. I think you could lock that one up. I think that's a good spot here. Minus 260 is a little steep, but I think you should play that decision prop and get this going. Very low-level strawweight fight, though. Moving on down the card, we got a bantamweight matchup. Cody Stamann versus Eddie Wineland. Like I said, we can't get too crazy in here. Eddie Wineland has maybe a lucky punch chance here. He's old, he's washed, he's getting finished. Physically not imposing against a guy who's in desperate need of a win, fighting very, very high levels of competition. Not a huge fan of Cody Stamann. Minus 500, a little steep, but I understand. So don't overthink this, guys. Cody Stamann, could he get the finish? I think he needs one. I think he will be gunning for it. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say Cody Stamann gets a finish. Ground pound TKO. Third round for Cody Stamann against Eddie Wineland, and hands Eddie Wineland his walking papers because he's been doing it too long, man. 24-15. That record is getting scary. Give me Cody Stamann by ground and pound TKO. Woo! 2 fights left on this 14-fight card. My laptop battery is dying as we speak. Moving on here, we got Phil Hawes versus Duran Win. Now. I was all on Phil Hawes early. Very impressed with the fighter that is Phil Hawes. A lot of people like to wear him down because of his chin, but you really look here, he's won 4 out of his last 5, right? 4 out of his last 5. And then on the other end here, we got Duran Win really going up against questionable competition and losing to guys you assume he would beat. But man, were you not impressed with the physical conditioning of Duran Win this week? Were you not impressed on just how he sized up? I'm sorry, 6 foot to 5'6". It didn't look like that. I don't think Phil Hawes is 6 foot. Maybe Phil Hawes is like 5'10". And maybe this guy's like 5'5". Man, can Duran Win go out there and gas out Phil Hawes? You see, the reach advantage to me, I think, is going to be a difficult problem. His wide body, I feel like it's going to cause some difficulty to land strikes. Phil Hawes really just has to defend the takedown and land heavy shots. I feel like in another world where judges are really favoring wrestling, Darren Wynn is going to make this fight close. Darren Wynn is going to make this fight closer than we all expect. I feel like he's going to get the takedown. He's a relentless wrestler, and I feel like he will put Phil Haas in compromising positions. But overall, I do think Phil Haas is going to land the straighter punches and the harder punches and manage to really just eke out a win here. Give me Phil Haas by close decision. But don't be surprised if I have a play on Darren Wynn as an underdog here in this matchup. Not sure yet, but I was very impressed with his physical, conditioning at the weigh-ins today. I was very also surprised at just how the size played out. Phil Haas didn't really look as big as I thought he would look. So official pick Phil Haas, but I don't mind the dog shot on Darren Wynn. He's a dog, man. He'll go for 20 takedowns. And we got a guy in Phil Haas that can slow down a little bit. This could be an interesting fight in the middleweight division, but give me Phil Haas. Moving on down to the curtain jerker, the opening fight of the card. We got Kutateladze versus Roman Dolidze. Listen, I like Kutateladze a lot. I think he's got a decent skill set. I think he's a bit of an overachiever, but look at these wins here. Dustin Stoviz, not impressive. Jamie Pickett, not impressive. Kevin Holland, he was looking decent against, and it was early. He was fighting for the takedowns, establishing the game plan. Kevin Holland was hanging out. But even then, Kevin Holland's a guy who just doesn't belong in the middleweight division, can get out grappled. You got a guy here in Roman Dolidze who's got heavy power. He's got good grappling skills. He does slow down in fights, right? He does slow down in fights. And not only that, he has been underwhelming in certain spots. But let me tell you something. In the UFC, he's 3-1. He's won 4 out of his last 5. One loss being to Trevin Giles in a close fight in his first fight in middleweight. Trevin Giles pretty much just won that 3rd round and took that fight over. I feel like Roman Dolidze just made a bit of an error in that matchup here. I like Roman Dolidze as a dog here. I actually like his physical components. I like his athleticism. The big worry here is, yes, Kutateladze is somebody that is there all 3 rounds. We've seen it against Brendan Allen where it started out rocky, but he was able to combat that later and have a good 3rd round. But Brendan Allen is another guy, too, who's a bit iffy. I like Roman Dolidze's ability. I like that he's a 205er. He's a big, strong guy coming down here with also a grappling advantage, a perceived grappling advantage, right? He's the higher level credentialed jiu-jitsu player, right? What does that mean for MMA wrestling? Totally different. Kutateladze, I know, just likes to go for those body lock takedowns, and I feel like he's going to have a bit of issue body locking Roman Dolidze. So if he stays on the outside and jabs him up, I feel like, yeah, he can, outpoint him and win a decision just giving out cleaner strikes. But, man, they match in reach. According to Tapology, 76 inches in reach, 1 inch height disadvantage for Roman Dolidze, and I think a physical and athleticism advantage for Roman Dolidze. Give me Roman Dolidze, underdog, to kick off the card. I like Kutateladze, but I don't know if he has that killer instinct in him, and I do believe Roman Dolidze is going to push him and make this fight really, really close. This line's off to me. Minus 275 for Kutateladze. No, thank you. Give me Roman Dolidze. And I say he wins by decision. But you know what? I can see him taking Kutateladze down and really get him out of there. But I'm going to say Roman Dolidze by decision. And there we have it, guys. 14 fights broken down. Very long one. A lot of fights where there's an A side and there's a B side. I agree with some of these lines. They are getting a bit juiced up now. There's a bit of money coming in on these guys and making it a little less profitable than it can be, but we'll find those niche spots. I'm going to post, again, as you know, the public parlay there, and like I said, there's a couple dog shots that I like in these matchups. If you want to tail them, you're welcome to tail them, but there goes the public parlay. It's a 3-legger, and don't go too crazy, man. We got 10 straight weeks. Manager units were up 60 units for the year, right? 62 units for the year. I said the goal is 100, so I just need 40 more units over the course of this time until December. And I dropped 3, and I'm upset about it. I want it back, but I'm not going to go heavy just to get it back. We can chip at it away and build back up that deficit. Welcome back to Southpaw Picks. Thank you for joining me, guys. I hope this breakdown wasn't too long. It's 14 fights. Look out for it. Look out for the breakdown next week where we got Marquez Gamrot versus Arman Tsarukyan. What a fight night that will be. Got some PFL going on right now. And if you want to know what I'm on in PFL, I like Hayush Manfiel. Who else did I go with today? Rob Wilkinson. And who else did I throw on that card? Natan Schultz. and Amari Akhmanov. I pretty much took American Top Team, and yeah, I'm gonna go with the American Top Team and the American Top Team camp in the PFL matchups today. So once again, thank you guys for coming. This is Southpaw Picks. Catch you later.